Good morning, good morning. Happy Saturday, everyone. Today is August 1st. Welcome, August. Welcome, August. Today I'll be out there, just going to be the opening of the Jazz Fest. So I'll probably give you a little commentary while I'm out there. Um, Walking, just probably going to walk around today. And, tomorrow me and my honey, we gonna sit out there tomorrow. He said if the weather's looking good, whatever, but today won't be possible. Too tired. But I'm not. Okay, I don't have to get up and go to work, so He does, so he's tired. So I was just like, well, I'll be out there today just to just check the weather, and then tomorrow we can just hang out there together. Since you off tomorrow and everything, get some summer fun in. Anyway, so let's go into our Father's prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Lord, give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lord, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thou you are the kingdom, the power, and all the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen. To God be all the glory. Yes, we give God thanks with every breath in our body, right? Because without breath, we give God thanks because we not doing this on our own. He woke us up this morning, giving us another day to get what we couldn't get done right yesterday, get it right today. Try to stay on the path of righteousness. Try to restrain yourself from anything that is not good, something that is evil, and don't be so quick to rush to judgment. Always examine closely of what you see because it might not be what you think you see. And I'm glad that this conversation around Nolan Wells, and especially that it's been on a platform like Nancy Grace, who's specialist, and I mean she's a real, master, I would say, in her craft and her work, and knowing when people are lying and when people are being honest about something and when people are just trying to spin narratives on things as serious as what happened to Nolan Wells. That is a very, very hurtful thing for Black America to have to revisit again about those southern trees. We know about those the people that live down there. See, they know about those southern trees. Okay, they lived there all their life. If you go through a Black history and American history, you will see Mississippi burning. You will see how a very important attorney, Marcus Garvey, not Marcus Garvey, I'm sorry, not Marcus Garvey, but how he was gunned down and killed. His name is right here on the top of my tongue, and I'm sorry if I can't pronounce his name. Forgive me. It is in my heart. And I remember when it happened in that year, 57 or whatever. When it happened, of course, I was very, very young, but the story of Mississippi burning does have that part in there of the work he put in. He was a civil rights attorney. He was Black, and he was very popular in the Black community as a good fighting attorney. In Black America, when you're going through your history, we always have had problems in the South, even after slavery, dealing with um, certain kind of justice. Okay, and there's a lot of Black men that had to take justice in their own hands and fight, and they won. They won. If you do some Black history and during Black History time, these were us many years ago. That's why we know, because we come from this history here. Our ancestors has, and that stuff still runs deeply here in us. And there's just certain places and time and in environments that certain things will show, will come out. In an environment like now with the politics the way it's going, Black people are still being targeted. Like, I can't believe this. Y'all talking about how the immigrants come in here harming y'all and doing things to you, but you are targeting Black Americans. Why? Why are you targeting Black Americans in this time in 2026? That's nobody but the devil. And this is going to take some time to get out, but I'm glad voices like Nancy Grace is speaking, and that tells you that this is something ain't right. And for these young white boys to go to a platform they know is going to be prejudiced towards Black people in general speaks volumes for me, because of all platforms you want to go and speak on Officer Tatum's platform, knowing that he's a black-faced bigot and he has so much prejudice and hate towards Black America. And here he is in blackface himself. And spinning this narrative with a whole all white audience. And then he sat down and he started having these crocodile tears and crying for a man that didn't even, people that didn't even barely want him at the funeral to speak. And he broke down crying on broadcasting himself on his platform, and it just shows how disgusting he is. How low he is to his race. He doesn't like himself. He hates himself. He has self-hate inside of himself. He's married to a white woman that speaks, and it doesn't really matter who he's married. Well, it does, kind of, sort of, you know, in a way. When a black man sits up there and discredit black people and say the most horrible things to a white audience against his own flesh, something is seriously wrong with him, and he's a dangerous person. And even white people can see that. Even white people have spoke on his disgusting, degrading commentary, his race hateful. He stirs up racial hate towards black people on his platform. He's worse than, to me, Charleston White. And you know where he's at right now. He's canceled. And now we got Tatum. So I'm so glad that a person with a large platform that he spoke on his name came back and checked his ass. He said something about it, and he also included D.L. Hughley. And D.L. Hughley is right. He's been around 40 years. I've been around D.L. Hughley just about around that time too. He done did big theater, movies, productions, and D.L. Hughley been around for a long time. I remember him coming up in my time, the the 90s and everything of that nature. And Brandon, you are in no place to speak on Black American history or Black American people lives mysteriously being, found unalive. You are the least of any black men that should be speaking, because you're not even a black man. You are mop, a melanated other people, or you are a tether. You have no deep history here. You are a child of an immigrant that came here to United States of America to give you so-called a better life, to make you feel better than black people, which you're not. Okay? Which you are not. You just a cooning immigrant, tether, a mop. Okay? And we are so sick of it. See, we could get past stuff like this when we get rid of people like that, listening to people like that. And white America won't have to feel their way of feeling that all black people hate black people because we feel all white people had something to do with slavery. See, when you listen to ignorant, dumbass people like Officer Tatum, that's what it makes you start to think of yourself. And that's not always true. He's a race baiter, and he stir up race. He's more dangerous than Al Sharpton and Ben Crump. He spoke on their name. But anyway, let's go into D.L. Hughley, what he had to say, and we're going to keep it moving.
Very interesting to me is his Nancy Grace.
I left to believe that he goes out swimming all on his own, and the friend girl leaves, the mates from school leave, everybody just leaves him out in the water and he dies.
Now, Nancy Grace is a career prosecutor. She has tried 100 felony trials, 100, and not lost one. And she thinks that's something suspicious. But the social media influencer who failed at football and was a mediocre cop all of a sudden knows more than that. I don't know what happened. You don't know what happened. But I do know this. You said that a young woman with a pot of water acted so suspiciously that she should be shot by cops.
I think that this is justified, but it could have been avoided, but still justified. You can't throw boiling water on a police.
Right there. You know what I'm saying? This ain't something that we are just fact checking him on the simple fact that he had a history of sitting on his platform when injustice, and even white people found this police officer, okay, guilty. And he was charged, and he was stripped of his role as a police officer. And if white people seen it and you didn't, something is wrong in your eye, Officer Payton. The things he pushing into the minds of young people who might go to his audience, young impressionable, and probably even those boys probably were boys on his platform and were still friends with Nolan. And these are the things, the ideas that get pushed into their head of listening to stuff coming from platforms like that. You know, these young people will fly with anything today. They have no substance. The substance that we supposed to have in us to pour into them to know how to think before they take any actions. To give them the discipline and the structure that they need while they got these things going on in their head that somebody said to them, and making them act on it instantly without giving it any thought and without understanding the consequences. And Brandon Tatum is a dangerous platform for any young person to be on, any black child or white child. He's a race chaos idiot. Okay? He doesn't know what he's talking about. He just flies off with his mouth on playing on people skin color. He's no different than what Al Sharpton and Ben Crump and others might do when they trying to get people to see the truth. But he's not selling you the truth. He's selling you the devil's lie because he's playing on your flesh. And that's exactly the things that Satan plays on. He plays on our flesh. You have to examine things closely before you rush to judgment. And he did not examine anything closely because he did not even question things that this young man was telling him. He didn't even question it. He just let him say what he said and defended it. So that right there just shows you the kind of troublemaker and the kind of chaotic stuff that he brings to his platform.
Police officer not get shot.
But you don't think people that want to vote with somebody in proximity to somebody, and that person comes that day acting so suspicious, they should be questioned? That's who you are. Debate you for what? What you are is what the people before you. You're Diamond and Silk. You're Candace Owens. You're Stacey Dash. You're that. And your career will age like avocados. Because that's what they do. There'll be somebody else that replaces you. I've been around for 40 years doing what I do, and you still know my name. You know how I got to know yours? Somebody sent me a coon alert, and you fit the bill. I don't know who you are, but I know what you are. I know what you do because I've seen people like you in my entire life. You can assail my career, but my career is longer than your life. You mentioned my name, and I have no idea who you are. But I do know this, that one day, when all of this is done, and it'll be after the next election cycle, when people are wondering who you are, when you go the way of the Larry Elders, or the Sheriff Clarks, or the Candace Owens, or the Diamond and Silks, or the Stacey Dashes, or the Armstrong, like all of them, when you're there with them and you're wondering what happened, it's because you sold your soul for nothing.
Let me just say this, and I know people gonna clip this and get mad, and I don't care. I really feel this way. I'm getting sick of black people, right? I like the black people like me and others that are conservative, that's smart, but the rest of y'all, I'm sick of y'all. It's hard to even want to be around black people, to be honest.
I have never once, and I've had a disagreement with a lot of black people that I've had disagreement, but I've never once had to make a video explaining I don't hate black people.
I do not hate black people. I know that people who are new to my channel, and you see people out there making these videos, it's comical to me because I don't understand how accountability leads to hate.
You said you can't teach me, you can't make me hate white people. You said that.
You want me to hate white people? I'm not doing it.
My question is it making you hate white people? I don't want that at all. What I want to know is, who the fuck taught you to hate us?
There you
Pick
go.
you for the same reason they picked dog.
Okay? Who taught him to hate us? Why do he hate us? You know, that we want him to hate white people, but why do he hate us? Answer that question, Officer Tatum. I said I became a fan of D.L. Hughley, not because of his politics, but because of what I believe in is in his heart for defending justice. Ironically, Brandon Tatum is one of the reasons why. Brandon Tatum does not have the historical perspective to speak authoritatively on the social justice experiences of Black Americans. And I gotta fix the spelling. I'm putting Nandrin, but it's supposed to be Brandon Tatum is the son of a Nigerian immigrants, and that background is different from the multi-generational history of Black Americans, whose families endured slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, lynchings, and racial terror across states like Mississippi, Alabama, and throughout the South. When reoccurring cases involve young black men found dead under mysterious circumstances in the South, I believe that painful history deserves to be acknowledged and carefully examined, not dismissed or reframed through stereotypes. Those cases should be approached with fairness, evidence, and an understanding of the historical content that has shaped the concerns many black Americans continue to have. In my view, Brandon Tatum too often minimizes those concerns while using language that I believe reinforces negative stereotypes about black Americans. I believe that kind of commentary creates more division, fuels racial resentment, and makes constructive conversations about justice more difficult. For me, justice should be applied equally. Every victim deserves fairness, every family deserves truth, and every case deserves to be judged by the same standard regardless of race. Okay, and when he comes to speak on black issues, he brings all kind of racial hatred, stereotypes, and all kind of things that just don't balance out. And I just think it's time now that we're going to take a stand and make an example of people like Brandon Johnson. I mean Tatum, not Johnson. Sorry. We're gonna we need to start making examples of this because this is getting around dangerously. That is going to be a petition to take down his channel because of the things that I wrote in here, and it's legal to do that because what he does is he doesn't he's not the person to go out and shoot somebody or kill somebody or lynch somebody, but he gets people in that mind to feel that that is okay by dismissing what happened to Nolan and how this family is grieving and looking for transparency of what happened and all the other derogatory and disturbing things he said about black people as well. What happened to not Sandra Bland, but Sonia Macy. Sonia Macy. That poor innocent woman was shot and killed like that in her home by a police officer. And he automatically rushed to judgment to make it sound like she was the one at fault to get shot and killed for throwing a pot of boiling hot water on the police officer. And through that video, we did not see that. Seen her going to the kitchen, and then all of a sudden him drawing his gun, and she was like, "Oh my God!" And how would you react as a human being? You have to sometimes really examine things very closely before you rush to judgment and just automatically feel that this woman deserved to be unalived in her home in her kitchen when she called because of some disturbance around her home and the police officer came and she ended up becoming the victim when and the suspect. Officer Tatum needs to be canceled, and I think I've had enough, and all the things going on right now in our world we today live in, especially around young people when we trying to get their minds to be redirected back to being able to be more human and normal, and this is not helping. When you have somebody making these type of statements and spinning these type of narratives especially with the way it's hurting this mother and they child being unalived, and they still got no real answers. And this can be anybody's child. And him walking around a mob, a melanated other person, because that's what he is. He's not a black American because he was not rooted in this soil to understand the sensitiveness of his words that he used and the conversations that he had. These things are painful, and people have lived it through history, and people are still here dealing with it. And he doesn't know the deep rooted history of American history. That's why he needs to be canceled. And especially when it comes to speaking on issues on black lives. And we can no longer allow this to take root in this nation. Because one thing about America is that we stand on law, and we stand on the Constitution, and we also stand on protecting people and treating people fairly and civil. And that's why we come to fight with civil rights. This is not what he's doing, is disgusting. He's using racism, prejudice, and everything in a black face to harm hateful things and bring hate towards another race of people, a certain race. It's like disgusting. And for all we know, those young boys could have been on his platform, listening to him. Before this incident even occurred, they probably used to be entertained on his platform with the rhetoric and the garbage that he pushes out there into the public. Okay? So I will be pronouncing that there needs to be a petition to go around to cancel that platform and make it very clear why it should be canceled. Of the harmful things that he say. Everybody have a right to freedom of speech, but we also should be careful of harming other people in the public and causing harm to others. And if you don't really want to talk, you don't have to talk about it. But if you are going to talk about it, be respectful. Says it right here down in the chat. Welcome to the live. Remember the guardian privacy and also respectful. It says people be respectful. You know, people can't do that, so they hide behind little icons and avatars and stuff with they fake names they make up. Punk, coward, evil stuff like that, and they attack people conversations or whatever. But Brandon, his face and everything is out there. So he he's a person that gets paid for his work to stir up the from the people. I don't know, maybe some people he getting paid big time to attack black America and black issues, but it's harming innocent white people as well. If he doesn't understand that it does, not all white people agree with his way of speaking on black issues. Okay, he harms them too. He's harming with all of that, with that type of conversation. He's harming white people as well. He's an evil man in melanated skin, and he needs to be canceled. And a petition will be coming real soon because he's going to be made an example of. When people get on their platform and harm people, they don't even know them. He don't know that boy. He didn't know Nolan's mother or his father. Don't know anything about those people. That's why I said I did not want to get myself emotionally attached to the story because of so many things was happening so quickly. So I just wanted to just like ease myself away and just stay put. I didn't want to make it about racial because I saw other things and I said that, but I'm just wanted to be given in the real truth that everything was supposed to have happened to Nolan's life. And I do want the family to get the justice that they so rightfully deserve. And here this man is stirring up all kind of nonsense around this young boy's death. And I just don't think it's something that should be acceptable in society whatsoever. It shouldn't even be acceptable to be speaking on stuff like that. And it needs to come to an end because it's becoming very dangerous. Even if it wasn't Nolan, it could be anybody. It could be a white girl's death. It could be a Latino girl. That I give people the respect that I would like for people to have for me. If God forbid anything happened to me, people can respect my loved ones because they still have people around who still grieve in them and still care about them. And we don't need this kind of foolishness around that young man's death. And I've been saying it. I said that. I don't said that so many times around YouTube. It's just so disgusting the way somebody dies and how these stories go to become a very high profile story, and people just throwing all kind of stuff in it. Don't even know the people, and don't even take in consideration that they got loved ones, that they have loved ones that are also hurting in losing their loved ones so tragically. We got to get back to God. We got to get back to thinking in a way what God would say. What would Jesus do? Why would you want to hurt somebody you don't even know? Why? And somebody who has never really harmed you in any kind of way. Why would you want to do that? People really need to speak to their heart sometimes. And don't just shoot off with your mouth, just saying any old thing just because you feel you have the freedom to say it. And that's where they trying to amend freedom of speech, because this freedom of speech is not free when you harming other people. That needs to be amended. That needs to be something fixed in society. I just wanted to just come with y'all real quickly with this one on D.L. Hughley, about this conversation around Nolan Wells' death and the things that was said on the platforms. And Nancy Grace had him on her platform because Nancy Grace was putting him on a larger platform for everybody to see this idiot. See, Nancy Grace is trained, a professional, trained prosecutor. She's done it. She's done over 100 and something cases, which she has been very successful at. For this man to get on his platform and then try to make it sound like he know more than Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace asked him some very serious, questioned him. She vetted him. So people can get a much more broader look at him. Because staying on YouTube, on a small little platform on YouTube, this needed to be more brought up on a larger platform with a person with a lot more experience. And he doesn't even realize how dangerous what he did on his platform, the things he said and the stuff he promoted to his young impressionable audience. Because when they look through those algorithms and they look on how many people watch your channel, what ages that are watching your channel, I bet you any amount of money those people that are listening to Brandon's garbage are minors. They probably not, I wouldn't say minors, I would say they more like no more than probably like teenagers, because that's the kind of audience he's going to draw attention to from the rhetoric that he speaks. He's not going to get that kind of attention from a 60-year-old woman like myself. He'll get my attention, but he won't get it in the way it's going to entertain me or is going to make me feel like he's speaking something that is gospel. Okay? Because I've known characters like him. See, I lived through it. And these young people are just starting to, this, they still coming out of the womb. Put it that way. They still coming out of the womb. They still very young and impressionable. They're easy to be influenced. And this is the kind of stuff he's talking out there into the young people's minds, pumping into their head. And for all you know, they have white friends. They go to school with white friends. They got to live in a world with white people. We all got to live in a world with white people and all different types of people. But it's how we approach conversations, how we, give people content on things, and how we try to make it sound balanced. We don't think all biased, one-sided, one-sided, one-sided. No, we can't do that. To have healthy, good dialogue, and also for that to be able to be spread out into the world. And to stop the evil of evilness which he is producing into the world, and then call himself a Christian. No, that is not of Christ. That is not his way. Okay? Stop hiding behind religion and look into the relationship and listen to the words and the conduct and watch the conduct of the people that call themselves Christians. Because when you're a Christian and you following the ways of Christ, you're going to think like he thinks. You're going to try to be as fair as he was fair and looking at things in the lenses of God and not in the lenses of man and not in the lens of flesh. You're going to have to examine your own heart. Christ made it so simple. See others as you see yourself. Look in the mirror. Because the same way you judge someone, you're going to be judged and measured. You are black face talking on a platform, pumping out hate, bigotry, prejudice, white supremacy on your platform. Because those are the people out in the audience that hate us. So they tell you to hate us. And you know that. And it's sad that you telling this to their children. And some of them probably don't even want their children listening to that garbage or becoming that type of person in society. And there's plenty of white people through history that fought against this kind of hatred and even lost their life in the battlefield. That's why I say people need to learn about their dead presidents. Because not all of them was fighting to keep chains on black people's neck or treat black people as slaves. When you learn the history of this country, then we can all live in a better land. But until you understand the truth behind the story of America, because slavery didn't start here, it came from the ancient world. It came all the way back from Asia and Africa and into America, and it ended in America, and we still fighting against that stain that keep trying to get into America, bigotry and hatred. Because every time people when people are being attacked on what they need to do to get their conduct right, they want to always throw racism in the front line. Oh, white supremacy, white supremacy. No, it's not even about white supremacy. Because if you knew American history, you will know that there was some white men and blacks that fought against slavery. Some white Christians that stood against the devil. And then there was some that just came over here from other places of European culture and brought that shit on them. And people that came from those Arab places in the world and everything. Because that's what they do over there. And they believe in mistreating human beings. Why America got to go out in every world part of the world to try to get people free from being in bondage and not able to practice their own religion freedom. When you learn the history of America, you could probably sit on your platform and have a more balanced conversation without harming people, a group of people. And that's why I said these tethers. While President Trump plucking them out and getting them out of the United States, that's right, get them out. Because they bring nothing but the ugliness that they bring with them from their own culture, from the places they came from. And we're not like that. We're different. Black America, we're different. We can't share our world with them. With that being said, y'all all have a blessed and wonderful day. And if God's willing, I'll be back with you all later. I cannot read the comments in the comment section right now. But thank you for coming in, all of those who came in this morning. Like this video. Also, you can share. And if it's your first time to the Casey McDaniel That Speaks channel, hit that bell So when I come on, you'll get that notification. So with that being said, you all have a blessed and wonderful Saturday morning. And God's willing, I'll be back with you later on in the day. Until then, peace.